I did have a wild card story that you guys, I'm sure you're familiar with this one, with Jepthah's daughter. Do you guys remember that one? How do I keep doing? Okay. All right.
Esther.
Jepthah's daughter.
Yes. Oh, okay.
I'm sure you guys know the story actually, but you guys don't know the name. But we're gonna go over this one real quick. So this is a story in the book of Judges, which I say Genesis has wild stories. Judges, wow. Judges is the story that we talked about. Oh, we should do that one with the guy who chopped up his concubine, the one that we didn't record last time. That's
yes.
All right, I'll do that one after this. We got time. Okay, so this is the story of Jepthah's daughter. This is in the book of Judges. And Jepthah was a judge who was fighting against an enemy. He was leading an army. And he was none too confident that his men were up to the task. He didn't know if they'd actually win. So he makes a deal with God to help him, if he only could make a deal with God, and to help him actually defeat this occupying force. So let's see what he has to say here. This is from the book of Judges, chapter 11. All right. And Jepthah made a vow to the Lord and said, if you will indeed hand over to me the sons of Ammon, that's the army he's fighting against, then whatever comes out of the doors of my house to meet me when I return safely from the sons of Ammon, it shall be the Lord's, and I will offer it with a burnt offering. So does everyone know what he just said here? Everyone's tracking that. He says, if you help me defeat this army, whatever steps out of my door when I come home, I will offer to you as a burnt offering. Pretty clear. Like I think it's pretty
it's like
clear.
Russian roulette with your family. Whichever one of them comes around and knock, you can have them.
All right. So Jepthah crossed over to the sons of Ammon to fight against them, and the Lord handed them over to them. He inflicted a great defeat on them from Aor to the entrance of Minna, 20 cities, and as far as Abel Keramim. So the sons of Ammon were subdued before the sons of Israel. But Jepthah came to his house at Mitzvah, and behold, his daughter was coming out to meet him with tambourines and with dancing, which just makes that a lot funnier that she actually came out, like celebrating and shit.
Hey, Dad, I miss you. He's like, ooh, I wish you hadn't. You should have sent out your bitch mom. What the hell?
Bitch mom. And so, yeah, the best part of this is that Jepthah has the nerve to act surprised. And he says, so when he saw her, he tore his clothes and said, oh, my daughter, you have brought me a disaster, and you are among those who trouble me. For I have given my word to the Lord, and I cannot take it back. So,
and on top of everything, it's your fault, kid.
It's your fucking fault. How dare you? I have horrible news for you. You have ruined my day because I made some stupid bet with an almighty, all-powerful being, and now I have to sacrifice you. Where do you get off doing something like this, you old man? Yeah, so this story's not familiar to you guys?
I'm thinking about this in like a true crime way again, because also I think he wanted to kill his wife. I think he thought wifey was coming out.
I love this theory. I love this. Yeah. I love that theory. And that does kind of make, because this story, whenever I read the story, I had the same thought. I was like, buddy, what did you expect? I was like, did you have like a house cat that you really couldn't stand and you thought it would come out first? But I love he hates his wife and he was trying to get rid of his wife. And so he couldn't tell God, give me the victory.
God got me. Right. Now my wife's going to come out bitching and God got me. This is a win-win.
Listen, if we've learned anything, you cannot outsmart an all-powerful, creator deity who spoke reality into existence. You will lose that bet. Satan lost the bet against him. If Satan's losing the bet, so are you. Okay, let's see how the story progresses any further. I like the ending here. So she said to him, my father, you have given your word to the Lord. Do to me just as you have said, since the Lord has brought you vengeance on your enemies, the sons of Ammon. And she said to her father, let this thing be done for me. Allow me 2 months that I may go to the mountains and weep because of my virginity, I and my friends. All right, so she learns that her old man made a bet with God that whoever stepped out of his house, he would offer as a burnt sacrifice. That's what he said. And she says, okay, I get it. I understand. It makes perfect sense.
Let me just go say bye to my friendsies and have a little girls' night out on the mountain, and we're good.
You're right. It's like, yeah. So that part I said, okay, all right, I get it. Because, I mean, I would just like, okay, look, just let me sneak off for a little bit. And yeah, I was like, okay, I see what she's doing here. I see what's going on. So let's continue the story. That I may be with my friends. Then he said, go. So he sent her to go for 2 months, and she left with her friends and wept on the mountains because of her virginity. So the weeping on the mountains for her virginity, that's not necessarily because she wanted dick really bad. That's not what that means. It just means that she knows now that she won't have children and she can't be in the line of the Messiah. She's automatically excluded from that. And that's the part that she was weeping right there. Then he said, go. And at the end of the 2 months, she returned to her father. That's how I know the story is bullshit. That's how I know the story is yeah, this is how I know it's a bullshit story, because she came back after she said, let me go weep the 2 months, which no, I don't care how old the kid was. They wouldn't have actually come back. They'd have ran off and never come back after that.
No.
Yeah. And at the end of the 2
Sorry,
months,
guys, I got to go back to my dad. He's going to burn me.
He's gonna burn me.
Bye. It's been real. It's been real.
And at the end of the 2 months, she returned to her father, who did to her what he had vowed. And she said, had no relation. And she had no relations with a man. And it became a custom in Israel that the daughters of Israel went annually to commemorate the daughter of Jepthah, the Gileadite, for 4 days in the year. Okay, so you guys didn't hear that story.
So she's the reason that we got the. Is that the? Never mind.
What?
I'm not. No. Please continue, DJ.
Oh, so you guys said you had never heard that story in church before, right? You hadn't heard that one?
I'm not sure.
Probably have and just didn't get it.
Oh, yeah. So when I was taught this story, because like, what? Like this guy tells God, first, help me out and I will offer a burnt sacrifice. God allows his daughter to come out. That's first off. I mean, God could have done anything to stop his daughter from stepping out. And then God never once says, hey, buddy, don't burn your daughter to death. Like, God never comes down to that story. Apparently, he's like very chummy with him.
It's never like, did you learn your lesson? You know, like maybe just stop the lesson before the burning of the daughter. But God never does that in these stories.
Never shows up. Never shows up.
Kill her. Kill him.
And
go ahead.
So, now this, though, that doesn't look good. Like to a modern audience, you're like, what? Like, this is the God we're worshiping, the one who's okay with this human sacrifice. So what they teach, well, this is what I learned, is that, he didn't actually kill his daughter. Like, he didn't, that didn't actually happen. If you look up, like, a lot of like commentaries or, apologetics or passion on this, they say, no. He didn't burn his daughter to death. Like, what happened is he sent her to, live at a temple. And that's why she was mourning her virginity, because, she had lived at the temple the rest of her life.
It explicitly said that she went on the mountain and she came back to die. Yeah. That's what that said.
Gayla, 100%.
100%.
Explicitly says that. It says, I will offer a burnt offering. She says, do what you promised. And then she came back for it. So
that's a great tie back to the bite model and what you were talking about last week about like just the absorbing that tomfoolery, because like there's no, how do you sit in a sermon and read explicitly that and they go, she's in a temple.
Yeah,
good for her.
Not allowed to question it, for sure.
Yeah.
If you Google like Jepthah's daughter and you pull up, or in fact, I'm doing it right now. If you just Google Jepthah's daughter. Let me remove this one right here. And like the first question is like, what happened to Jepthah's daughter? I don't know if you guys can read that. Let me see if I can make it bigger here. It says,
he did not physically kill his daughter.
She would serve in the temple for the rest of her life. Bullshit. That is bullshit. It is complete. And also, because the Bible doesn't say that. It doesn't. It like apologists have to say this to make it more palatable. But all right, let's be charitable here. Let's grant them that. Let's say that's what happened. Still a fucked up story. You essentially sent your daughter to prison for the rest of her life because of a stupid ass bet you made. And once again, God never once steps in and says, hey man, that's not cool. Let her decide what to do with her life.
Well, she did just like be excited that dad came home. Like,
yeah.
Either way, you're right. Like, that does not change the weirdness of the story.
Even when they try that bullshit, it's like, nope, sorry, that's still pretty fucked up. That A, he did it, and B, God didn't say anything. So yeah, even like the bullshit answer is still kind of nonsense. But yeah, that's another weird Bible story. We have another book of Judges. Well, unless you guys have more to add on this, because this is my favorite part of the story. Jephthah's daughter is not even named. She doesn't get a fucking name in this story. Like, Jepthah gets a name, the guy who was willing to kill a family member, but the girl who was happy to see her dad come back alive, who went to mourn with her friends because of the fact that she'll never have kids, who was either sacrificed or sent to be a nun in a convent for the rest of her life, doesn't
it's just this
get
icky
a name.
fuck's daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the story is Jephthah's daughter. She's not even fucking named. That bothers me too. That she deserves at least that. Yeah. So, anything else to add to the story, you guys? What are your thoughts on this, Carla?
It's fucking nuts. What do you mean? What are my thoughts? That's crazy. And like, wow, even your own kids are basically just treated like property. You know, very disposable.
That is a repeated pattern in the Bible. Yeah.
And it just like teaches you to kind of suppress your emotions because the Bible says so. You like put your feelings about the rules over your feelings about your own family.
And I can guarantee there has been a sermon out there at some point or another. I've probably sat through it where it was preached. She was preached as like such a godly daughter. She went for her virginity. She returned, had faith in God. That's probably the exact origin of she didn't really die.
She knew the punishment was right. She didn't question it.
Yeah, what a godly daughter.
And then we're like, okay, I won't fight back and tell my emotions about this then. Okay.
Yeah, let me just bottle everything up. Cool.
Dang. We're unpacking a lot right now.
We are.
It's a lot like the story of Abraham and Isaac when Abraham took Isaac up for the sacrifice, which, wow. It's like the fact that story is listed in like the Hebrews Hall of Faith in the book of Hebrews, and it says, yeah, this is a great faith by Abraham. It's like, what? I mean, listen, if God, I don't have any children, but if God came down and told me to slice my kid open and burn his entrails on an altar, God can fuck off. Sorry, not doing it. And you know what? Everyone thinks that. Everybody, like the most devout Christian would say no. But we're supposed to think Abraham's a hero because he was willing to do it. And I've always thought that was odd because like everyone would say they would disobey that command and that we should commemorate Abram because hearing a voice in his head telling him to do that. And like and look, and then they even pass it on to Isaac.
They should have been like, he's unwell. Like, let's get our friend here some help. Let's
save this kid. All his neighbors are just like, okay.
Yeah, all right, fine.
And they pass it on to Isaac too, because in the story, Isaac says, "Hey, we're going for an offering, but where's like the sheep or the goat that we're sacrificing?" And Abraham says, "Well, God will provide a sacrifice." And what's interesting in the story, so when I was taught this at Maranatha in high school, like in our Bible class, they pointed out that everyone thinks of Isaac as like a 7-year-old in the story, but in the chronology, Isaac's like 19.
Wasn't he a teenager?
He's a teenager. So like he could have overpowered Abraham and ran if he wanted, but he went up and it's like, what a beautiful son.
I remember it being preached to us when we were little and he was little, and then I remember the story being preached at us when we were teens, and then all of a sudden he was a teen.
They adjusted it to our age.
Yeah, it was like
that would be funny. I didn't think about that. That would be funny. But it's like, what a dutiful son, doing what his dad said, even when he's tying him down and holding a knife at his throat. It's like, no, that is awful. You don't want to teach people that.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, you gotta just obey your parent to that extreme. These are the examples that we're giving of godly children. That's horrific. That is like so psychologically damaging, and
it's pretty dark.